Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, second year students. So, students, as you already know that we were doing the first unit in which we have already covered the reading selection 1.1 and 1.2, and now today it's a turn of the last reading of the first unit, and that is 1.3, The Blades of Grass. It's a poem which is written by Stephan Crane. So now take out page 32. Here on page 32 you can see that the reading selection 1.3, The Blades of Grass, written by the Stephan Crane. So it's a very short poem, very simple poem, and what's the main message that the author wants to convey. So we will learn the moral lesson, we will learn the main idea of the lesson as well. So this poem is of only 2 stanzas. So now listen to me carefully. Before starting the stanza wise explanation, first let me give you a very short summary of this poem, that what the poet he is saying, or what's the main idea of the poem The Blades of Grass. So the poem Blades of Grass is composed by Stephan Crane. In this poem the poet creates an imaginary dialogue between God and the blades of grass on the day of judgment. All the blades of grass are giving their account and they narrate their good deeds before God. A small shy blade of grass tells God very humbly that it has forgotten all those good deeds that if performed in the world. So God Almighty appreciates the answer and calls in the cute blade the best one. So thus the poet beautifully expresses the idea that the best deeds are those which are done without the thought of reward. So what's the main idea and what's the moral lesson of this poem? The main idea of this poem is this, that the poet wants to convey to us is this, that he beautifully expresses the idea that the best deeds are those which are done without the thought of reward. So this was the main idea of the poem. Now let's go through the first stanza. The first stanza starts from here. In heaven some little blades of grass stood before God. What did you do? Then all save one of the little blades began eagerly to relate, impatiently narrate the merits of their life. This one stayed a small way behind, ashamed. So the main points or the key lines of this stanza is this, that what's the explanation of this stanza? That in these lines the poet says that some tiny leaves of grass were standing before God in heaven, and when God asked them that how they spent their lives in the world, so all began to narrate impatiently before him and all the good deeds of their worldly life in the hope of getting some reward. So however, one of the small blade looked very shy and it was standing behind all others. The second stanza, presently God said, and what did you do? The little blade answered, oh my Lord, memory is bitter to me. For if I did good deeds, I know not of them. Then God, in all his splendor, grandeur, brilliance, arose from his throne. Oh, best little of grass, he said. So what's the main idea of the second stanza? In these lines the poet says that the God asked the shy blade of grass how he spent his life in the world. So the small cute blade of grass answered humbly to its Lord, and it begged his pardon. But the past memories are not good, because it remembered very little good that it did in the world. So he dared say that it might have done little to be worthy of recalling. So God became very happy by hearing this humble answer. He got up from his throne with full grandeur and said that little blade of grass was best of all. So this was the main idea of the poem. Hope that the poem is clear to you. Now students, what you have to do, you have to go through this poem again, and then after that on page 33 you can see that understanding the poem, they have given you the main highlighted lines, and they have mentioned here the main idea of each stanza as well. So by understanding the poem you just need to go through it and you just read it by your own self, so the poem that will be more clear to you. Beside this, if you have any kind of question, you have any kind of confusion, so you may ask me. Now what's your written assignment? Your assignment is on page 33. Here you can see, now that you have understood the poem, write a paraphrase explanation of the poem in your own words. So now students, here you can say that paraphrase and explanation, as it's not a part of your exam paper, so you can just do the paraphrasing or explanation in your English notebook, but I cannot but I'm not saying that this should be your assignment, as paraphrase or explanation is not a part of your paper. It's not included in your paper pattern even. So what is your assignment here? You can see, understanding the poem, the last point. The poem uses a personification. Personification is talking about inanimate and abstract objects are if they were human. So why does the poet use blade of grass to communicate such a fundamental idea? Why didn't he use man to convey his idea? So now students, this is your assignment here. Your assignment question starts from here. Why does the poet use blades of grass to communicate such a fundamental idea? Why didn't he use a man to convey his idea? What do you think, that why the poet, he hasn't used the personification, he haven't used the man as a personification? Why he is using the blades of grass in order to give us the moral lesson, or in order to give us a message? So this is your assignment, which you have to do in your own words. You can take help from the internet as well. So kindly do your assignment in time, and I will be waiting for your assignment. And if you want to ask anything related to this poem, so you can text me. So do your assignment neat, and kindly do your assignment before the next lecture. Hope the lecture is clear to you. Take care, and Allah Hafiz.